good, 99 Dreamers? We back at it. Episode 8 of the 99 Dream podcast. My name is Julian Taliaferro. You already know we coming again with another weekly business update, lessons of the week, and then topic for the day, which is build your environment. And I'm pretty excited about this episode just because, this past week it was kind of packed with a couple of events that I went to where, I was personally trying to build my own environment. And, we'll kind of get into it more a little bit later on, but definitely, that's the topic, build your environment. And to get started off with the quote for this week is, you're never the only one. Somebody is always outworking you, right? So, think in your head, think of either yourself or somebody else who's just like you that's, working hard and grinding. But if you want to become, the number one entrepreneur, the number one business owner, family man, or, friend, you have to go the extra mile. You have to go above and beyond. So don't let anybody ever outwork you. You got to be the one who's, being the best you can be and pushing for excellence and not being great, but trying to be greater than great, right? So that's the quote. You're never the only one. Somebody is always outworking you. And to start off with the business update, last week, I received my sample from my manufacturer, right? But it wasn't in my product packaging, right? So this week I've been communicating with my manufacturer, trying to get that sorted out. Secondly, just learning more and more about e-commerce, about Amazon FBA, Amazon FBM, all the things that goes into, selling on, either, the internet or just on e-commerce, right? So within this, I watched a YouTube video from the channel called Fields of Profit. And in this, the channel was great because, every time I watch one of his videos, I learned something, but also I was able to join a Discord community from the channel, right? And in this Discord, it's tons of, hundreds of e-commerce Amazon sellers that, talk about what issues they've had, on selling on Amazon or what problems they faced. And, the whole system is there in the Discord as a community to support and basically, figure out, how do we solve these problems? So for me, that's amazing because I can see all these past sellers, what they're, coming up against, and then how I personally can mitigate these problems now and kind of nip it in the bud so I can learn from their experiences. Thirdly, my Amazon Seller Essential account that, I have open, I've been able to go through a walkthrough of this platform, listening to about like an hour long, YouTube video, going through all the tabs, on my Seller Essential account, watching a Cameron James video, who's another Amazon seller, and, him highlighting the most important aspects of the account and, what kind of tabs are most important. But, at the end of the day, I'm not going to fully understand this software until I myself, have my inventory and start selling and, am required to really, understand everything about the software, right? So, definitely the video was great, but, gonna learn more and more as I, put it to use, on my own, right? And then also for, Amazon or just in general, my product search and, trying to build my skills and identifying the correct product to use when selling on Amazon, I've decided that I will be investing in the Jungle Scout software, right? So I'll be utilizing a 7-day free trial because they charge, the monthly rate. They have like a monthly rate, but they charge annually, right? So I want to go forth with this 7-day, free trial and see if I like this software. And before I put, down that $200 amount for, the annual software. And that's just because there's a lot of other platforms or softwares that I could use, such as Helium 10, AMZ Scout, or, there's a lot of others that I could use, Viral Launch and things like other softwares. So, but first I just want to try off with Jungle Scout and see how that goes, which is a Chrome extension. And from there, see how I like it. And if I want to change, then I'll pivot to something else. Lastly, this week, I was also able to acquire website domains, right? So now I have a website domain for my e-commerce company, my comics, and also, my 99 Dream podcast. So now I have these these 3 domains, and now I can start, trying to build a website, after getting, hosting a platform or things of that nature. But now, I can, start, trying to develop what I want my brand website to look like for my e-commerce, which is, very exciting as well. Right. And then that's kind of my business update. But now I want to get into my lessons of the week. Right. And I have 2 of them. And the first one is just around reevaluation, and for me, that kind of looks like, as I learn more and more about e-commerce, as I learn more and more about Amazon FBA, there's a lot of ways to sell on Amazon, whether it's private label, uh, online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, or drop shipping, or, there's just a lot of ways, right? So that's me trying to look at the pros and cons of private label. Is it really the route I want to take? Or should I change to something different, right? Should I change to wholesaling? Or, what should I really look at? But, I definitely think private label is still the strongest route for me to go through, is the strongest method, because it will offer me a chance to move outside of Amazon, have my own brand, but it also offers the highest profit margins because I'm my own brand. And if I'm exclusive, then, I can charge more for that product that I'm selling, right? So I still believe that it's the best route to go forth with. But also just in terms of, my product search, me having to reevaluate if this initial product that I chose is the most optimal. So now, me being a little apprehensive to get the software, because if I get it and the metrics don't check out correctly, that this product that I've been, working on for these past month or so, try to work with the manufacturer, things of that nature, that just pushes my timeline back. But, I have to realize that I'm not in it for the short term. I'm really in it for the long term. So every step that I'm doing now has to be done correctly. And that's kind of hard for me to not understand, but for me, I want to see results right away. I want to move fast. I want to get things going. And I hate being a person who just talks about stuff. I want to be a person who walks the walk. And, I'm not selling anything yet. So at this point, I'm really just talking. But me knowing that I'm laying out the foundation correctly for me to really set up a successful business for the long term, that's way more important than just rushing to Amazon, losing money, losing capital when I don't even have that much to work with, and from the jump, right? So definitely it is okay to reevaluate, right? Because that just means you're confirming that whatever steps you took were the correct steps, right? So that's one thing that, I've been thinking about. And then secondly, is that I need to be able to talk through my ideas. Even outside of this podcast, I need to become fully confident in being a business owner, fully confident in an entrepreneur, fully confident knowing that, I'm an actual seller on Amazon. So me getting comfortable using the lingo, making sure that, I'm talking to, whether it's my friends, my parents, my sister, anybody, updating them that I know, exactly what the market looks like. What are the ins and outs of Amazon? What is my specific strategy moving forward? What are the other routes that I could possibly go forth with, right? So just knowing everything, but being comfortable, talking about it, having a conversation about it, and me fully being able to do that. And that will allow the ideas to really ingrain, into my mind, into my head, and I'll really become one with, the information, right? So then we have to just continue to, try to communicate about it and, be okay with reevaluating, every step that I'm at and making sure that everything is done correctly, because, nothing, comes of, success if you're just rushing, right? So knowing that I need to be patient and it's okay to be patient, right? And then that was where, that was my business update and then my lessons. But now I can get into my topic, which is build your environment. And like I said, this is pretty exciting for me just because, I was able to enter different rooms this week and, learn a lot, learn about networking, learning about how to get into spaces and be uncomfortable, but be okay with being uncomfortable, and learning how to not stay in my uncomfortable state, but developing and then being comfortable where I'm at, right? Whatever situation I may be in. So when I first started off my entrepreneurship journey, right, August 1st, 2022, watching all these social proof podcasts, watching all these videos, I understood that it's important to be in a like-minded environment, right? Being around individuals who are pushing for success, just as yourself. So when I came back to school, I realized that importance, and I try to go to a conference right away, like my first week or second week. It was like a Black business entrepreneurship conference, but it ended up, being canceled like the day before. And, that kind of happened, and that kind of just set me back, and my mindset kind of shifted to just executing. So me executing on trying to flesh out my business, getting my LLC, talking to a manufacturer, getting a product, start selling, right? But for some reason on Sunday, I was watching another, social proof podcast video. Like it's a daily ritual. Every day I'm watching David Shands, but it was Sunday and I was watching the video and something clicked, and I realized that I wasn't putting as much emphasis to building my environment, to getting in these rooms, to meeting these people who are pushing for success as much as I should. And from there, I didn't have a mindset change, but I knew I needed to add, right, that networking, right? So it needed to be an additional part of, being an entrepreneur, right? So from there, I went on Eventbrite and started looking up business conventions or entrepreneurship conferences or networking events, right? And I was able to find a couple. So it started off on Monday, where I attended 2 entrepreneurship webinars, which was great. Learned some couple ideas, allowed me to think a little bit different. But from there, I also signed up for a Miami Tech networking event on Wednesday. And I'm not gonna lie. I initially really wanted to go to it. I'm like, yeah, let's get it. Let's go to all these networking events. Let's really try to meet people. But the day of, I started having some reservations about going. I started thinking, am I really gonna be able to learn something if I go? It's a networking event, happy hour. What's really gonna be accomplished? Or I don't even know how to network. And my business isn't fully up and running. What do I really do when I get in these spaces, right? So I started having seeds of doubt. But then I started looking through, the program again, and I saw that there was a panel of, of founders who started tech companies, very successful founders who started multiple. One of them which sold for 390 million, right? So I was like, I'm not going to miss a chance to listen to a panel, possibly learn something. And so I finally, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go. So I ended up going, and I get to the event, and then I realized it's a Google hosted event, right? So this is something I wasn't expecting, for Google to be hosting the event. So I walk in, all these Google employees and Google partners, everybody's wearing like keychains, name tags of their positions. I'm seeing director of this, vice president, president of this. I'm like, oh wow, this is serious. And for a moment, I didn't know what to do. So I'm in the venue, right, and I'm kind of just sitting down with my notebook and my pencil, and I'm kind of like, not nervous or anything, but like I said, I'm uncomfortable, right? I've never been in an environment where, I feel like I have nothing to offer, right? So I'm sitting there and I started thinking, and I realized, sometimes you just got to go and get it, right? Why would I come all the way here just to sit here and be meek? That's not even the type of person that I am, right? Sometimes you just got to be a go-getter and go and get it. So that's what I did. I ended up getting up, walking around, talked to some, Google employees and Google partners, went to the Google startup table, introduced myself, told them about what I was trying to start, what I was doing. Ended up connecting with some Google partners who were very interested in my e-commerce, right? Gave me some game on my next steps, which included the web domain, right? So that's now me taking what I learned from that event and then executing on it, right? So me being able to meet with people who were receptive to what I was doing, was amazing, immediate affirmation right after I made that decision to just go and get it. It was a positive result, right? So from there, I couldn't be, even happier. And then listen to the panel, which was great. And they just said the same type of rhetoric for starting a business is that you have to just start, right? Start something. No matter where you start, you just need to begin. And then from there, you continue to develop, and then, you will be successful if you never quit. So for me, that's all I needed to hear as I'm starting my e-commerce, me realizing that I'm in the right place that I need to be. And, I'm taking those correct steps in order to, develop and become that person I need to be. So that was the second type event or thing that I went to. And then thirdly, yesterday on Saturday, I went to a CEO legacy conference hosted by the 9 to 5 CEOs, and this was a good conference as well. And in it, I was able to learn about all the different companies that these different 9 to 5 CEOs had and them have gained, but also how do I network in this different environment, right? Instead of a networking event, how do I move in a conference, right? How do I, you know, really try to take gain from each of these presenters and what can I really apply? And, this was a great experience as well. And I did have to pay for a ticket. So I paid about like $77 to go to this conference, right? So me knowing that I'm willing to invest in myself, I'm willing to, develop, and that I'm worth it, right? I'm worth, developing, I'm worth investing in myself so I can become, the best entrepreneur that I can be, right? So that was very important. And, although I may be uncomfortable, just knowing that I'm energized and I'm passionate in what I'm doing, I want to be an entrepreneur. And I feel like you can't hide hunger, you can't hide passion. So whenever, I'm talking to somebody or, I give my pitch and, telling them about what I'm doing, they can feel the energy and they can feel how raw and authentic it is. And, that's just of the utmost importance, that you have to be real with yourself and with others, right? So, those were kind of like the networking events, the conferences that I went to in order for me to build my environment. And then now, for the future, I want to be able to go to one at least almost every week or every other week. Try to get into rooms. You never know who you may meet, right? You never know what contacts you may have. So in terms of that Google event that I went to, now I have people who I could possibly go to for startup funding, for investment funds, right? And I wouldn't have been able to get that if I didn't go, right? I wouldn't have been able to get that if I didn't get up out of my chair and said, I'm gonna go and get it, right? So go and get it. You just gotta go and get it. So now I want to lay out my next steps for next week. So this week I want to start building out my website for my comic page. That should be the first. That's kind of my first base when it comes to my websites, and start trying to monetize these comics, or at least set up, the website and then see, what comes of that. I will be using WordPress, which is free. And then, also figuring out and continuing to contact my manufacturer. Hopefully my sample should be on its way by next podcast, right? It may not be delivered, but it should be on its way. And then just like in general, like I said, continuing learning about e-commerce, always having a video on in the background, just soak up as much knowledge as I can, right? And really become an expert in everything, and practice communicating my ideas, practice relaying all this game that I'm learning. Again, so it gets ingrained in my mind, it gets ingrained in my head. And like I said, it becomes one with who I am. And I become the guy that people go to for e-commerce, right? So that's the goal, that's the plan, and that's my next step. So let's go, let's get it, y'all. Go and achieve your 9 to 9 dream. And it's not a non-dream because you are going to achieve your dream, and it would be 100%, but nobody's perfect. So you're going to achieve 99% of that. And let's go and let's get it. See y'all next week.